What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, taking a look at the Stokastic MLB DFS Lineup Generator for tonight's slate. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Of course, if you have not yet signed up for the Lineup Generator, you can still get it for 50% off your first week using the link in the description of this video. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Twitter, it's just going to be right in my tweet. It'll be just $4.48 for your first week if you use that link. Still going to be just $8.95 a week. After that, still a great deal for a tool that only gives you lineups that have been found to be long-term profitable in these stochastic sims. Let's start by looking at some DraftKings lineups. I'm going to do all stack types, and I'm going to do all lineup types. We're going to get a mix of chalky, balanced, and contrarian lineups. I'm not going to lock anybody in. All right, first lineup we get here has Max Fried and Logan Gilbert as the pitchers. We've got a 5-3 Diamondbacks Mets stack in this lineup. This one on the chalkier end of the spectrum, but not on the super chalky side of the board. Let's take a look at the pitchers in the top pitchers tool to start. So Max Fried and Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert third on the board with a 22% chance of being a top two pitcher. Max Fried fifth with a 16% chance of being a top two pitcher, and actually a little bit of positive leverage on both of them, looking a little bit under-owned relative to their top two pitcher odds on DraftKings. And then the bats, we've got the Diamondbacks and the Mets as our stacks. Looking in the top stacks tool, the Diamondbacks are in Colorado. They're the top stack of the board with a 27% chance of being the top stack today. Looking really nice. They are just dwarfing every other lineup here in terms of top stack odds. 27%. Second place is Atlanta with a 9% chance of being the top stack. Mets in third place with an 8% chance of being the top stack as well. So we have two of the top three stacks on the board, two of the top five pitchers on the board, and still, not on the far chalky end of the spectrum, coming in a total of 140% ownership on this stack, leaving a little bit of salary on the table as well. All right, I'm going to save this lineup. Now this lineup, second lineup we get is the same stacks. This one a little bit chalkier. You can see it jumped over a little bit more on the chalky meter, but leaves 1,800 on the table. Now we've got Carlos Carrasco and Yu Darvish as the pitchers. So Yu Darvish fourth on the board with a 19% chance of being a top two pitcher. Carlos Carrasco pretty far down the board, just an 8% chance of being a top two pitcher, but coming in at just 3% ownership, and he's just 6,000 against Pittsburgh. So still in a pretty nice spot there. And then again, we had the exact same stacks. This one a little bit chalkier, but offsetting some of that chalkiness. The 3% owned Carlos Carrasco there, the 6% owned Mark Vientos, and then Brandon Nimmo coming in at single digit. Jeff McNeil also coming in single digit ownership. I'm going to save this lineup and just go through. I'm just going to go through and save 20 lineups now and see what my exposures look like after 20 lineups. Looks like a lot of Diamondbacks. That's not a surprise given how good they look in the top stacks tool. Yeah, my top 8 owned players here. No, 7 are all Diamondbacks, and they're all bats from the Diamondbacks. Only 9 bats in the order, and you can see them all in this first page here. All of the Diamondbacks bats making it into my top exposed players. Of course, we've got a couple pitchers making it in there as well with Logan Gilbert and Yu Darvish, and Peguero from the Pirates jumping in there with 30% exposure as well. Overall, I'd say I'm a little bit uncomfortable with how much Gabriel Moreno I'm getting here. I might want to lower that exposure a little bit, probably try to get that down closer to where I have Christian Walker, 65, maybe 60% ownership, try to cap it there for my bats. But in general, with its stack looking as good as it does today, including positive leverage at just 20% ownership, I don't mind having a lot of exposure to just one team. Really, the amount that you're willing to have is a matter of personal preference. We know that every lineup we hear is going to be plus EV. So it really comes down to how much risk tolerance do you have? Are you willing to risk it all on just one offense, or do you want to have a mix of different stacks? I think I'd like to, at the very least, maybe even if I have all 100% exposure to Arizona stacks, just 95% here, so not quite 100%. But even if I did have 100% to one stack, I would still probably want to spread it out among the players in that stack a little bit more. So maybe try to reduce my Moreno exposure just a little bit. But again, I'm nitpicking. Every lineup you get here is going to be long-term profitable. All right, now I'm going to take a look at some FanDuel lineups as well. Going to do all stack types, all lineup types again, and not lock anybody in. First lineup we get here on FanDuel is a 4-2-2 stack with the Mets, the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals. Max Scherzer as the pitcher. You can see this one much more contrarian than the lineups we were typically seeing on DraftKings. Let's take a look. So first, Max Scherzer in the top pitchers tool on FanDuel. Top of the board, 12% chance of being the top pitcher. Then the top stacks tool on FanDuel. Diamondbacks still top of the board with a 27% chance of being the top stack on FanDuel as well. We had the Cardinals and the Mets as our other stacks here. So Diamondbacks still near the top of the board. Mets third on the board with a 9% chance of being the top stack. And then St. Louis fifth on the board with a 7% chance of being the top stack. All right, I'm going to save this one. Next lineup, we've got same teams. We've got the Mets and we've got the Diamondbacks as our stacks here. Teoscar Hernandez as a one-off. Now we have Logan Gilbert as the pitcher. Gilbert second on the board with a 9% chance of being the top pitcher on FanDuel. And then looking at the chalkiness, still pretty contrarian here, not very chalky at all. All right, now I'm going to go through and just save 20 lineups, see what my exposures look like. All right, after 20 lineups, I have 75% Corbin Carroll, 55% Ketel Marte, 50% Lourdes Gurriel. Probably more comfortable having Corbin Carroll as my top exposed player as opposed to Moreno. I think we're getting to a lot of Moreno on DraftKings just because you need a catcher and he was cheap. So getting a lot more there. I think I'd be, a little bit happier to have more exposure to Corbin Carroll as my most exposed player, but still 75%, a bit much. I would probably try to reduce that a little bit, maybe try to get it to like 60% Corbin Carroll, at least something like that. Cap it around 60%. But again, just nitpicking once again. Here we have 85% Arizona stacks in our lineups, so a little bit less than on DraftKings. Good to see it spread out just a little bit more. But again, every lineup you're going to get here is going to be a long-term profitable lineup. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and good luck tonight.